It started where the last story ended, beneath the basement stairs in the dark heart of 112 Brookline Avenue. A small wooden box, a photograph, and a name that didn't fit. For our Emily. Christmas 1971. The forensics team worked in silence, scanning deeper into the foundation. The air felt heavy, like the house itself was exhaling secrets it had held too long. The second cavity wasn't large, barely the size of a crawl space, but it was deliberate. Edges clean, plaster sealed smooth. Whoever built it knew what they were doing. And when the last panel came free, what they found changed everything. Inside the void lay fragments, cloth, brittle paper, and what appeared to be the handle of a small doll. But beneath it, forensic sensors picked up traces of calcium phosphate, bone dust. Not enough for a full body, but enough to know someone had once been here. The residue was old, older than the remains found upstairs. This cavity had been sealed years earlier, meaning the little girl behind the wall wasn't the first. Pause. Low static. Then the narrator again. If the first Emily was found 50 years later, then who was the other Emily buried before her? And why did the Jennings family name her as their own? Detective Rachel DeLuca had been in homicide for nearly 20 years, but this was the kind of case that didn't end at evidence. It ended in memory. She ordered every surviving record on the Jennings family. Marriage certificate, hospital forms, property tax, even church bulletins. And tucked between pages of a 1971 community newsletter, she found something strange, a birth announcement. Walter and Margaret Jennings welcomed their daughter, Emily, in. A daughter no one had ever mentioned. According to local archives, the baby was born in December 1971 and died just 6 months later of unspecified respiratory complications. No obituary, no hospital certificate, only the typed line, deceased. But there was no grave record, no death certificate filed with the state. And in the family photo, taken that Christmas, the one sealed in the box, she looked alive. Healthy. It didn't add up. DeLuca reached out to the attending physician listed on the old document, Dr. Harold Keene, now 92 and living in a nursing facility. His memory was faded, but when she showed him the form, something sharpened behind his eyes. "I never signed that," he said softly. "Walter asked me to. Said his daughter was too ill to transport to the hospital. But when I went to check on her, she was gone. He said she passed overnight, and they handled the burial privately." DeLuca leaned closer. "Did you see the body?" The doctor hesitated. "No. He told me it was better that way." Camera cue. Fluorescent light flickers above, the sound of DeLuca's breath in the silence. If the Jennings' biological daughter died, or disappeared, in 1972, and a girl named Emily Turner went missing a year later, then Walter Jennings didn't just hide one child in his house. He replaced her. It took weeks of cross-referencing school records, census data, and neighborhood interviews to connect the two families. Emily Turner's parents had lived just 4 streets away. Both alcoholics, frequent police visits, and a record of child neglect. Social services had filed 2 interventions, the last one in the spring of 1973, the same month David Jennings first mentioned a new friend in his diary. DeLuca began to see the outline. A lonely, grieving father, a son struggling with guilt, a little girl from a broken home. Somewhere between compassion and obsession, the lines blurred. Walter Jennings, respected teacher, meticulous craftsman, had lost a daughter named Emily. And when he met another little girl with the same name, he saw a chance to rewrite fate. Witnesses recalled seeing him give her small gifts, let her play in the yard. A neighbor remembered hearing a woman yelling once, likely Margaret, followed by silence that lasted hours. No police report, no follow-up. By the time Emily Turner vanished, the Jennings' grief had already curdled into something unrecognizable. During the second excavation, a technician recovered an old magnetic reel, corroded but intact, hidden inside the same wooden box beneath the stairs. DeLuca sent it to the forensics lab for restoration. 3 days later, they played it. Sound cue, low crackle, then a man's voice, weary control. "If you're hearing this, it means they've found what I built. I did what I had to. After Margaret lost her mind over the first Emily, I couldn't let her lose another. David was too young. He didn't understand. None of them would have. I tried to fix it. I really did. Static. Aside, she wasn't supposed to die. She was supposed to stay. The recording ended there. No date. No confession. Just a hollow echo. The sound of a man talking to a future he knew would find him guilty. Forensic analysis dated the magnetic strip to late 1973, months after the disappearance of Emily Turner, meaning Walter Jennings made that tape after sealing the wall. Meanwhile, in Salem, Oregon, David Jennings, now living under the name Daniel Jensen, agreed to a full recorded interview. He sat in a small conference room, hands folded, eyes on the floor. The guilt in him was a living thing, 50 years old, still breathing. I remember two Emilys, he said quietly, one who was mine and one who wasn't. He told DeLuca how, after his baby sister died, his father became distant. He built projects constantly, dollhouses, furniture, even false walls. Said he was keeping busy, said it helped him forget. Then came the day Emily Turner wandered in, hungry, bruised, holding a cracked toy horse. She said she didn't want to go home. His mother let her stay the afternoon. Walter came home early. He froze when he heard her name. After that, David said, she was over almost every day. Dad said it was fate. Mom hated it. She called her a ghost with skin. The night of October 12th, 1973, the night Emily Turner vanished, David remembered shouting footsteps and a crash. He found his father at the bottom of the basement stairs, cradling the little girl. She was limp, but not still. His father whispered, she's home now. Our Emily's home. Then he told David to go upstairs. To forget. David looked at DeLuca, eyes red. I thought he meant she died. I didn't know he meant he'd keep her. Back in Massachusetts, the forensic report on the newly found residue beneath the stairs confirmed the worst. The chemical profile matched a child of approximately 6 months. Time of death, early 1972. No signs of burial trauma. Cause undetermined. But the sample contained high levels of chloroform. DeLuca realized then Walter Jennings hadn't lost his first daughter to illness. He'd ended her suffering himself. What began as a mercy had grown into madness. He recreated his loss again and again. First with a replacement child, then by preserving the memory of both inside the walls he built. It wasn't just concealment. It was devotion turned disease. A private mausoleum constructed by grief. When DeLuca told David the findings, he didn't speak for a long time. Then he asked one question. Do you think he loved her or us? She couldn't answer. He stared at the floor, then nodded slowly. I think he built that house for her, not for us. Every board, every wall, all of it was a way to make sure she never left again. In his statement, he admitted he'd never told anyone what happened. His mother left the house 2 years later, checked into a care facility, and never spoke of Emily again. Walter kept building, kept teaching, until he died in 1995. The house passed quietly into the market. Just another property with good bones. Good bones. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The property was cleared, designated a historic crime scene, but DeLuca returned one final time before it was sealed. The air was cold, still carrying a faint scent of plaster dust. She walked from room to room, her flashlight grazing the walls. In the upstairs bedroom, the one where Alex Harper first swung the hammer, she noticed something odd. A pattern in the plaster seams. Numbers scratched faintly beneath the paint. She traced them with her glove. 1-to-1, the house number. Below it, a smaller mark. An E, carved almost like a child's handwriting. As the light shifted, she saw more letters faintly etched into the paint. They spelled out a word. Dear. It wasn't a confession. It was a message. Someone, maybe David as a boy, maybe Walter himself, had marked the wall long before the renovation began. Like a promise, or a warning. Sound cue. Faint heartbeat under the narration, then fades. For the official record, the Massachusetts Bureau of Investigation listed the case as closed. Homicide by historical perpetrator, deceased. But DeLuca couldn't shake the feeling that the file was still open in other ways. Every piece of evidence, the diary, the tape, the the box beneath the stairs, pointed to one truth. Walter Jennings wasn't a monster in the way headlines like to write. He was something more ordinary, a man who couldn't let go. And in that inability, he destroyed everything he tried to preserve. It started with a hammer, one swing against old plaster. But it ended with silence, the kind that fills a place after secrets have finally been spoken aloud. For 50 years, the walls at 112 Brookline kept a secret built from grief. 2 children, 2 names, and 1 man who tried to rewrite loss with construction nails and drywall. We often think of evil as deliberate, something calculated. But sometimes it's just love turned inward until it suffocates everything around it. Walter Jennings thought he was preserving memory. Instead, he preserved tragedy. Detective DeLuca filed her final report that night, then stood on the curb looking back at the house. The lights were off. The wind lifted the police tape, fluttering like breath. Somewhere inside, beneath the layers of paint and dust, the echo of a child's laugh still lingered. Or maybe it was just the sound of the past settling. Because some houses don't haunt us. They remember us. And sometimes remembering is worse. This was Trace Crime Files. Subscribe for more stories where truth is stranger than fiction, and justice is never as simple as it seems.